60 days into the Middle East conflict, the world faces a crisis that's no longer regional, it's global. What began as a localized confrontation has rapidly escalated, drawing in nations and economies far beyond the region's borders. What started as a flashpoint between Iran and its adversaries now disrupts fuel prices, global markets, and international diplomacy. The ripple effects are being felt in boardrooms, government offices, and households around the world, as leaders scramble to respond to the mounting instability. Israeli strikes in Lebanon, a U.S. naval blockade of Iran, and Iranian retaliation have created a web of aggression with worldwide consequences. Each new development adds another layer of complexity, making the situation more volatile and unpredictable by the day. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz alone has sent economic shockwaves across continents. Energy supplies are threatened, and the uncertainty has triggered panic in financial markets, affecting everything from transportation costs to the price of everyday goods. This isn't just about military strategy, it's about ordinary people facing rising costs and daily uncertainty. Families everywhere are feeling the pinch as inflation rises and basic necessities become harder to afford. From mourning families in Lebanon to commuters in London, the war's impact is personal and immediate. The anxiety is palpable as people around the globe check their phones for updates, wondering how their lives will be affected next. The urgent question, how and when will this end, and what will the world look like when it does? Leaders are meeting in emergency sessions, searching for solutions, but the path forward remains uncertain. As we examine the latest developments, remember, this is a crisis that touches us all. No matter where we live, the consequences of this conflict are shaping our present and our future, reminding us of our shared vulnerability in an interconnected world. In a stunning and unprecedented move, the United Arab Emirates has officially left OPEC, the powerful oil cartel that has shaped global energy markets for decades. This marks a dramatic turning point in the history of oil diplomacy and signals a major shift in the balance of power among oil-producing nations. The UAE's decision comes amid escalating tensions and the ongoing blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, a critical choke point through which a significant portion of the world's oil supply passes every day. This bold move shatters the unity that OPEC has long relied on, injecting fresh uncertainty and volatility into already fragile global energy markets. Investors and governments worldwide are now scrambling to assess the fallout. The UAE, now unbound by OPEC's strict production quotas, could potentially flood the market with its own oil. However, the future remains uncertain, as other Gulf states are rumored to be considering similar exits, raising fears of a domino effect. The blockade at Hormuz has already choked off vital oil supplies, sending prices soaring and threatening to tip the global economy into recession. The world is watching nervously as the crisis deepens. For millions of ordinary people, this crisis translates into higher fuel costs, mounting bills, and economic hardship. Clear evidence that distant geopolitical conflicts can have immediate, far-reaching consequences for everyone. The UAE's dramatic exit from OPEC is a stark reminder of just how fragile and interconnected our modern world truly is, and how quickly events in one region can ripple across the globe. President Trump's hardline strategy, anchored by a sweeping U.S. naval blockade of all Iranian ports, aims to choke off Iran's vital trade routes, cripple its economy, and force Tehran to the negotiating table. The blockade, one of the largest in recent history, has brought commercial shipping to a near standstill, sending shockwaves through global markets and raising tensions across the region. In Washington, Congress faces a critical War Powers Act deadline, debating whether to authorize or restrain further military action. Meanwhile, Iran, under immense economic and political pressure, scrambles to craft a new peace proposal, seeking assistance from Pakistani mediators to break the deadlock and avoid further escalation. At the same time, Iran is working to strengthen its ties with Russia, resuming direct flights to Moscow and deepening cooperation, even as its international isolation grows. These new alliances could shift the balance of power in the region. Inside Iran, the government has banned all steel exports and imposed a strict 2-month internet blackout, further worsening the economic crisis and making it nearly impossible for citizens to organize or voice dissent. Factories are closing, and daily life is growing more difficult for ordinary Iranians. Back in the United States, President Trump's approval ratings have plummeted as public anger mounts over the war's economic fallout. Rising prices, job losses and uncertainty have fueled widespread frustration and protests. Domestic unrest is spreading across American cities, with large demonstrations and clashes between protesters and police, adding even more pressure on the administration and making the situation increasingly volatile and unpredictable. The world watches anxiously as military posturing, secret back-channel diplomacy, and political turmoil collide on the global stage. Every move is scrutinized, and the stakes have never been higher. With tensions at a breaking point, any misstep or misunderstanding now could trigger a catastrophic escalation, plunging the region, and possibly the world, into a much larger conflict. The war's true cost is measured in human suffering. In southern Lebanon, Israeli airstrikes killed 10 people, including 3 medics, while targeting Hezbollah tunnels. Ceasefires are fragile, and aid workers risk their lives as violence continues. In Iran, the internet blackout has isolated millions, crippling businesses and deepening hardship. For families in conflict zones, daily life is a struggle for survival. Medical care, food, and safety are never guaranteed. These stories remind us, behind every headline are lives upended and futures destroyed. The urgent need for a resolution that puts people first has never been clearer. The Iran crisis is fracturing the Western alliance. German Chancellor Merz publicly criticized U.S. strategy, questioning its effectiveness and deepening rifts with President Trump. Trump, during a UK state visit, dismissed Merz's concerns, highlighting a growing transatlantic divide. This disunity weakens hopes for a coordinated diplomatic solution and emboldens Iran. The conflict is now a stress test for the entire international system, exposing cracks in alliances and global stability. As the crisis expands, the world waits for leadership and wisdom to prevent further devastation. The stakes are global, and the clock is ticking.